my story with your Terry and June comparisons.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Who wants to pay that 145 quid?
But maybe you've sparked the global economy into life by forking out such an outrageous amount of money. Because people are losing their homes left, right and centre, but your channel funds is going to go some way to smoothing it out.
It does annoy me that Harry just dismisses 145 quid. You are one of the stingiest men I know.
Well, which is why I would have made sure in stormy weather I got there for my boat and didn't risk...
It'd been closed for 2 hours before I'd even got there. So that you don't know what you're talking about.
Well...
It would be closed in 2 hours and it didn't open again. Because we checked when we got back. This is the great thing. We got back. I phoned up to see if it was still closed, and what was brilliant was it was a little bit like Deal or No Deal, because even though I'd gambled, and taken the money early when I could have catered and played on, it turns out it was closed. I beat the banker. So yes, £145 was steep, but I've had the final laugh. All right? So not arbitrarily go on a ferry in the bleak midwinter around Easter time thinking you can get some tiny French beers, because it does not work. There's a moral for all of us. Okay, we need to go to the news. After that, we've got guest. We're going to be talking about other stuff. We've got music. We've got all sorts. I mean, really, who would want to do anything else other than stay tuned to the news?
On digital, online.
What the hell was that? Is what a lot of Six Music listeners are saying, and the question has got to be thrown right over to Sammy, who is the person who's made that musical choice this week. Sammy?
It was Robots in Disguise and a cover of the Kinks song, You Really Got Me. Of course, because the new album's out, I decided to play one off the old album. That was off the album Get Rid from 2005, but the new album, We're in the Music Biz, just came out, I think, in February.
Thank you very much indeed, Steve Show.
What are we doing with cover versions now? I mean, I remember
That
way
was
back
one.
in the days, that was one, and we had a policy. Harry would do his possibly slightly racist little jingle. No, it wasn't, obviously. But now they crop up willy-nilly.
Yeah, they do.
What do we do with them? Where am I?
Well, I think we can still play cover versions, but we didn't want to feel that our hands were tied, that we felt obliged to play one every week. So now we just play them, as and when.
Okay, I'll just...
I mean, I'm surprised you didn't figure that out yourself, to be honest. Instead of making that a fairly dull conversation piece with which to launch this second half of the first hour of the Steve Show.
I just want things straight in my own head. I'm sorry if that's the way, but I just want to make a note of it. Just there. Are we going to get the jingle back from Harry?
Hey, if you want to hear the jingle, you're welcome to.
Don't know, Harry?
Mr. Copper.
As offensive as ever.
That's all I wanted, to be
as
honest.
ever. Thank you very much, Steve Show, BBC6 Music with me, Steve Merchant, and my little gang here of Tykes. Coming soon, we have a guest on the phone, Sharon Horgan, whose TV show Pulling, which is excellent. If you've not seen it, it's excellent. It starts again this evening on BBC 3 at 9:30. I've been told that she was maybe already a guest this week on Six Music. God damn it, who cares? Firstly, who listens? Secondly, to our show. Thank you. I got out of that one brilliantly. And secondly, it's such a good show that it deserves all the publicity you can get. But prior to that, Harry, of course, works in a bank, and we've been trying to make the Steve Show 2008 more useful, more user-friendly for you at home, loading it with stuff that you need to know, things that will help you through life, and also through any dull conversations that you have to have. Harry, you are, of course, a trained professional. You work in a bank.
Yes.
And obviously, at the moment, we're reading a lot about credit crunches and possible financial Black Tuesdays and the like. So I thought it was appropriate that we'd have some kind of business roundup update with you. Here's some kind of jingle sting.
I like that.
Business with Harry.
I tell you, when I'm at work, this is playing in my head the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people, regular Steve Show listeners will remember me predicting the crash of Northern Rock. I like to feel I was in some way responsible.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I did. I said that some massive institution would fall. A lot of people in the studio mocked me and said I didn't know what I was talking about. Days later, Northern Rock crashed. Loads of people lost their jobs, but no one lost their money. So,
Brilliant. So what's gonna crumble now?
Well, you've already had the problems in the US with Bear Stearns, and what's going to happen is... Well, what has happened is people talk themselves into a bad situation.
They talk themselves into a bad situation.
The economy, on one level, kind of runs itself, but if everyone says something bad is going to happen, something bad happens. It's a self-propagating myth, you know. It's like anything. If you've got a bad feeling about something and you walk around all gloomy, then eventually things are going to turn bad for you.
Sure.
And that's how it works with the economy. If everyone goes around saying, oh, you know, things are bad, I'm going to lose my job, I'm not going to spend any money, I'm not going to go and have that holiday, then all of a sudden, no one's spending any money, the economy gets into trouble, businesses go bust, people lose money on shares, blah, 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 blah. And like this guy, Joe Lewis, the billionaire investor who lost $1.1 billion on the Bear Stearns crash, the American bank. So yeah, my tip is to follow the Noel Edmonds route, which is positive thinking.
Okay, great.
Draw the little symbols on your hand, perhaps little pound signs.
What, between the knuckles? Is this to help with figuring out?
Oh, you can do it on the knuckles. You can do it pretty much anywhere on the hand. The wrist is generally quite good. But yeah, walk around, think happy thoughts generally about money and the economy. Because most bankers, stockbrokers, analysts, dealers, they're just basically gamblers. We don't really know what's going to happen. So if everyone goes around thinking nice thoughts, then nice things will happen. You know, maybe you will get that lottery win you've always been hankering after.
Sure.
You know, maybe that new car will just turn up one day.
There is no scientific evidence that you will get stuff if you think positive thoughts.
And draw on your hands.
And draw on your hands. So let's presume that there is going to be a massive depression, which is what you were saying upstairs. Yeah. All this positivity, frankly, is something you've just drummed up, because upstairs you were all doomsaying.
Well, no, because that's what's happening in the industry and the media. You know, you know, your average Joe, your mum buys the Daily Mail and the Sunday Mail. She reads that everything bad's going to happen, and what happens from that? You don't get any nice birthday presents or Christmas presents. You don't want that to happen. So it's everyone's job to talk things up.
Right. And so, aside from that, how can one batten down the hatches comfortably?
Well, you know, stealing.
Okay,
no,
good.
Of course not. Of course not. That's not the sort of thing we'd ever recommend.
Sure.
But you know. But no, because I don't want people to cut back. I want people to be out there spending money, because that's the only way the economy is going to stay on a good course.
Thanks very much indeed. That was fantastic. That was Business News with Harry. Cool. Oh, that was some of the slickest production anyone's ever heard on the radio.
I tell you what, the end was better than the middle.
It's a shame that none of the people that are listening to Six Music
couldn't care less.
Not only could they not care less, have they got money anywhere?
No,
they've just opened they've either got student loans, or they've just opened like a Barclay Child Savers account, and you know, so it's a shame. If only you'd been on perhaps Radio 4.
Oh, that's the dream.
5 Live.
That's the dream.
That's the dream. Innit? One day, work up to that, mate. Thanks very much indeed. I'll tell you this, Harry, you are a massive fan of Martha and the Muffins, aren't you?
Oh God, I love it.
Absolutely. Stay positive, mate. From 1980, Martha and the Muffins, of course, and Echo Beach. Interestingly, the guitarist, Mark Gain, he wrote that song. He obviously, in the song, he's thinking of dreaming and escaping, wishing he was somewhere else. Well, not him, but the singer. And he was working in a wallpaper factory, checking wallpaper for design flaws. Oof. Imagine that. Possibly one of the dullest jobs you could possibly imagine doing. And that is why he wrote that song. All right? Music trivia there for the kids of 1980. We're going to go to a trial, but back after that with some David.
Can't do that.
I can, because it's what Steve Wright would do, my hero.
It's so bad.
Brilliant song,
Steve
ruined.
will often sing at the end of, you know, perhaps Needles and Pins, Needles and Pins. He'll happily, you know, he doesn't care. That's what people want, that from DJs. He's one of the most successful DJs in the country, for goodness sake. What's wrong with you?
Is it what the kids want? The kids listening to Six Music?
The kids in 1984 did. That's what we all listened to. Remember doing your homework? Hang on, who's this? An amusing guest has just called in. Perhaps, I think it was Gervais. Was it Gervais?
Mr. Angry?
There was
Mr. Angry.
Mr. Angry. There was
Sid
also
the
a character called
Manager.
Gervais, I think. Yeah, Sid the Manager.
Mr.
Gervais,
Spoons.
There was. Gervais, was he like a gay hairdresser or something?
It was.
Classic.
Couldn't do it now.
That's what.
Spoons. He had the best jingle.
What did Mr. Spoons do? I don't remember Mr. Spoons.
He had a song.
Yeah. He's insane. He's no cool cat. Is he a Yankee? No, he's a Pratt.
Yeah, Mr. Spoons.
I should have been at school and I was at home listening to Steve Wright.
You want to give a big shout out. Now be careful, it's not a Pete Tong-esque shout out, is it?
It's
gonna cause
not a
trouble.
big shout out. If you hear this shout out, don't go round to the town where Esther lives and bother her anymore, because she's had a bike stolen.
Oh.
Esther's had a bike stolen?
Esther's had a bike stolen.
That's it.
She lives near Bath. That's absolutely vague enough. She's very upset, but she's obviously been cheered up by your bit of singing on the end of David Bowie.
Diddle-oo.
Who needs a bike?
I tell you, I am now going to sing at the end of every. Hey, thinking of switching to another station? You'd be a fool. Here is Steve Merchant. Sing to the end of songs and thus ruin them. No, I won't be singing. Of course, that'd be insane.
I'd quite like you to sing to the end of the next one. It's brilliant.
Mind you, we'll see when we come to it. I don't want to give away what it is. A little treat for some of the old school.
What a teaser.
Some of the old school gang. Okay, so listen, shortly we'll be speaking to Sharon Horgan, her TV show Pulling, which is a sitcom. It was BAFTA nominated, its first series. A second series returns tonight, and it's absolutely cracking. If you've not seen it, it's very, very funny indeed. We'll let her talk about it. But naturally, the subject of the show is pulling, in all its loosest terms. And it was, we were talking earlier about how the show should provide a function, a public service. That's what the BBC is all about. And there's obviously a lot of young listeners listening, a lot of people who look up to me in every sense, and they're probably thinking, Steve, you have offered insights into business, you've offered insights into knowledge and information. We did that a couple of weeks back with some fascinating facts. You know all about the dates and how many days are in different days and years and months and stuff. You really are a fountain of wisdom. And I go, thanks very much indeed, little child. But, but perhaps this person, I don't know, maybe they're 16, 17, they're thinking, I've got to go out there one day, I've got to go out into the big world of dating, of pulling. And it's tough, it's grim out there, and I thought it seems silly not to pool the resources of the people here. Dan, as you pointed out, we're
market leaders.
We are market leaders
when it comes to pulling.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
When it comes to the opposite sex, there is little that we don't know about them. We have dallied with them. We've dilly-dallied with them.
Yes.
We've dillied with them. We've done all kinds of dillying and dallying with them. We're absolute professionals. There may be people with questions straight away. They're saying, Steve and gang, I fancy a girl from afar. What should I do? How should I approach? I'm thinking of going to a bar from a birthday. I need to make a good impression. What should I do? 64046 stephen.sixmusic@bbc.co.uk. Really, we can answer any question. Dan, Tiny Dan, you are a man, I know. You have kissed at least 3 ladies in your life. Am I right?
Yeah.
Now, each time you've done it, I'm always reminded, I've seen it happen, and I've always reminded of that moment in E.T. when Elliot has got to stand on something to kiss the slightly taller girl.
Yeah.
That is, if you want to picture Tiny Dan, he doesn't look like E.T. He looks,
But that proves I'm amazing, because lack of height is not something that is generally considered desirable in a man.
Right.
So the fact that I've broken down the barriers to the extent of the kiss speaks volumes for me. And that's why I'm a market leader in short man pulling.
In terms of looks, what would you say, 1 to 10? Where would you put yourself?
Me? I'm probably a low 8.
Okay. No, I think that's fair. You're a very low 8.
Yeah, very
tiny
very
8.
a tiny 8.
But what's your one piece of advice to anyone out there thinking of having to venture out into the world of pulling? It's tough.
Oh goodness, yes, pulling itself.
Well, you know what I'm talking about.
The
whole
actual
area.
breaking down of the first barrier is very difficult. I think you have to look. This is going to be a bit rubbish, but you have to.
I wasn't expecting it to be solid gold.
No, but you have to design the plan according to you. Like, I've got mates who adopt the scattergun approach.
Okay.
They will approach 100, maybe 1,000 women
in any given evening.
knowledge in a given evening, in the knowledge that eventually, for whatever reason, the law of averages, it will stick.
Low standards.
Rejection doesn't matter. They can brush it off. They can move on. If you're sensitive like me, that's going to hurt.
Yes.
So you have to be a bit more astute if you're going to take that approach.
Okay, so you target just very drunk women.
That's one way of doing it. No, I'd never do that.
So there's the scattergun approach. That's what your friends do. What would you do? What's your piece of advice?
I try and get them alone. And no, hang on. No,
that sounds sinister. That does sound a bit creepy.
Yes. It's in the crowd situation, it can be very difficult.
Very tricky.
So I think you need, let's say you're in a bar, you need to somehow find a small corner.
Okay.
And
and just spy on them from there. Sure.
Yeah. And it can be.
This is some of the most useless advice I've ever heard from anyone ever.
But if it's a small corner, you see, I look bigger because the corner very small.
Sure.
All of my attributes are enhanced by the small furniture.
Shut up! You've provided nothing. You've provided absolutely nothing.
Three women would say different.
Let's get a female perspective on it, Sammy.
If you're a boy, don't be handsy. Women don't like a man to be handsy.
Now, what do you mean?
Especially when they're drunk, just too much touching. Either grabbing the back or the hair when talking. We don't like that.
Okay.
Nor do we like you to put your hand against a wall and then push us against the wall.
Sure.
Like we're being excluded from the rest of the room. It feels threatening.
Okay, I'm just going to cross off one of my pieces of advice.
Don't take the girl away from the group.
Always
Make her friends laugh first, then you've got all of them on side.
Okay.
And then talk quietly to the girl while she's